Hello everybody and welcome back to Robert's Reviews. I hope you guys had a wonderful Christmas. This is the first video that is going to be released after Christmas, and quite frankly, I am quite excited to not be reviewing Christmas movies anymore. That was a long 12 days for me. But I enjoyed most of the movies, so I mean, it wasn't a waste of time. But today we are going to be talking about Agent Carter, Season 2. Agent Carter Season 2 came out in 2016, which is relatively recently. I thought this came out a lot longer ago because it feels old, right? Like, even while watching this now, I was watching a quick recap just so I can make sure that my information was correct. And I was like, ooh, some of this seems really old. And I'm right. It was made in 2016, but of course it was meant to be, in the 40s, 50s, 60s, something like that. A long time ago. And so it was really hard to watch, in my opinion. I think that the cinematography is not great. I get what they were doing. They were trying to make the film look old because it is supposed to be set in a different time period, because it is technically a period show. For those of you who don't know what a period show is, it is a show set in a different time period. So a period movie would be like, a 40s movie or a 50s movies or a 60s movie. And this is definitely a period show. The issue is that sometimes when you're making period shows and period movies, the issue can occur where it doesn't look very good, right? Because it can become an issue of it looks really old and it doesn't look quite fresh, because while it's got to be set in an old time, doesn't mean that the camera has to be bad too. Like, take for example 1917, right? The movie 1917. I haven't watched 1917 yet, but I've seen clips because I love watching like how things were made. So, and I know it's like one huge continuous shot. The cinematography for that's really good, even though it was set during a wartime, and they didn't even have cameras back then. So it shows that you can have a good camera and make it look visceral and real without getting rid of the, the facade of it being older. I think they were like, we don't really know how to set it in an older time, so let's go ahead and just make the film look older, and therefore people might believe that it's a different time period. You don't have to, do something for me to believe it's a different time period. Just say it's in a different time period, and I'll be like, all right, I got you. It's not that difficult, and I think they really overcomplicated it, which I think does present quite a problem, in my opinion, because it was lazy. It felt lazy. It felt hard to watch at times, and it was long. It was 10 episodes this was? We didn't need 10 episodes. This could have been a 5-episode thing. I honestly did not need a Season 2 of Agent Carter, but there were some good parts. For those of you who are interested, this is the last season of Agent Carter. There were rumors that it was going to be rebooted. There's almost no way they're going to reboot this. I don't see a reason for them to reboot it. While it has a pretty good, solid fan base, it's not solid enough to the point where they're going to be like, okay, let's bring it back for another season. It's not worth it. This aired on ABC. You can find it on, I think it's Disney Plus. Yeah, it's got to be Disney Plus. It's on Disney Plus, in case you're curious. A brief description of the show, for those of you who don't know what it's about. It's complicated. The first one felt more like a crime drama. This one felt more like a sci-fi show, right? Because it deals with zero matter, which we don't really know what is. It doesn't really explain it in the show. It's just this substance that doesn't really have matter, and it can make people go kind of crazy and give them supernatural abilities. Which I'm all for. Fine, you can use that as a plot device. I get it. My nose is really runny today. I get it. It's okay. I understand why they did it, and it helped propel the plot a little bit. But if we're being totally honest, sorry, my nose is really runny. If we're being totally honest here, I would have been way more happy with another crime drama. They did fine in the first season. I don't know why they had to go ahead and kind of ruin it with this season. There were a couple issues with the first season, but for the most part, it was a coherent story. This one kind of felt all over the place. And they did that Marvel thing where, like, there's this one episode of a flashback, which I actually really enjoy when they do that. I love flashbacks. The issue is I think that they should do it earlier. Like, for instance, in Luke Cage, for instance, which is a review I'm going to be doing in January, Luke Cage Season 1, they have this episode where they go back and they explain Luke's powers. That was a good set for it. I like when they did it. It was like mid-season. This just felt like they didn't even need it because we already know about Agent Carter, and the bad guy who is Whitney Frost doesn't even matter because her being a bad guy has nothing to do with her past. It really is an at-the-moment kind of thing. So here's what happens. Essentially, there's a thing called Zero Matter, and this girl who's an actress, Whitney Frost, absorbs it, and then she gets superpowers. So she can absorb people and all that jazz. It's kind of weird. They don't really explain what exactly she can and can't do, so there's that. Then they meet this guy named Jason Wilkes, and he's super nice and he's helpful, and he works at the company that produces Zero Matter. And so he's helping Peggy, and he gets absorbed, and they find out that he's still there, he's just invisible. And, like, he has no matter, so, like, you can go right through him. So, Howard Stark, and all of them are trying to bring him back, and they find a way to bring him back. So it's not even that much of an issue anymore, more so than she's just becoming more powerful because she keeps absorbing people and turning them into Zero Matter. Which, whatever, right? It doesn't even, like, I guess it does matter, but there's definitely a way to solve the problem that doesn't last 10 episodes. But it does, and then eventually they build this, like, cannon, and then they shoot it at her, and it's kind of ridiculous, to be totally honest with you. I'm going to talk about the acting now real quick. I'm not going to talk about too many people, just the important people and what I thought about their performance in this season in comparison to the first season. First, Haley Atwell as Peggy Carter. I think I liked her more in this season, but she had a love interest in the season, which made me upset for a whole wide range of reasons. For one, she's in love with Captain America. Okay, I don't care what you say. If you, it makes me not like her, right? Which I understand that it shouldn't, right? It really shouldn't. But Marvel should be careful with what they're doing, right? Because you don't want to make fans mad, right? Because people who watched Captain America, the First Avenger, would be like, oh, they loved each other. She's never going to marry somebody else. And then, like, literally as soon as he's dead, she's like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna go meet with this guy. And it's like, come on. Like, I understand why they had to do it, but they should have done it a little bit more tactfully and maybe shown some of the regret that she feels, because she's gonna feel regret, right? Like, her lover's dead, sure, and maybe you should move on. I understand that. However, I don't think she should have moved on in the way that she did. It felt kind of weird, because she's also kind of got this thing for Sousa, then she's got this thing for Wilkes, and it feels really weird and uncomfortable for me. Like, I'm sitting here watching, I'm like, I don't know who she's going to end up with, but I hope she doesn't end up with anybody at this point, and she's going to keep playing both sides. But overall, her character itself was fine. She did an okay job, and honestly, when she was on screen, I enjoyed my time. However, I enjoyed my time way more when James D'Arcy as Edwin Jarvis was on screen. James D'Arcy is the entire reason why I'm not going to give this a really bad grade. His arc in this season is fantastic. He, as an actor, is fantastic. There's this part where his wife gets shot, and he has to spend, like, time in the hospital, and we really get to see, like, the deep part of James D'Arcy, and, like, his ability to show sadness and emotion, and it really is wonderful. I commend him. It was a wonderful performance, and I really enjoyed it. And it makes me even like Vision a little bit more, even though they're not even necessarily the same people. I just makes me like the character of Jarvis and even Vision more, which is ridiculous, because it really shouldn't. It shouldn't be that big of a deal, but it really is to me. I really enjoyed his performance a lot. His performance really, really made the show, and that's the only reason why I would want an Agent Carter 3, would be so I can get some more Jarvis. Enver Jokaj as Daniel Sousa. So he is the other agent, and he is dating somebody. So the whole weird relationship with Peggy Carter and him is done for the beginning of the season. They eventually get together at the end of the season, which is ridiculous. So I didn't, like, hate him. I liked him more in the first season. This season felt weird because he clearly has feelings for Peggy, but he's dating somebody else. And I don't want it to be a drama, right? I like a crime drama, sure, that's fine. That's what the show's purpose for. But you can't tell me that it's a comedy and a sci-fi thriller and a crime drama, and now it's romantic comedy. I just don't understand why they had to mix so many genres in one season. I'm okay if they want to change it up a little bit season to season, but you can't mix all of them together because it gets me confused. Because whenever Sousa's on screen, I understand he's an agent or whatever, but I'm more concerned with what the hell he's going to do with Peggy. I'm over here like, if he hurts Peggy, I swear to God, I'm going to kill him. And I just feel like we didn't need that at all, and it distracts me a lot in particular. Other people might not have an issue with that, but it distracted me a lot. Wynn Everett as Whitney Frost. So she is the main villain. She's the main bad guy. The issue that I have with this bad guy is that for the most part, she's not a bad person, right? Like, she's kind of an awful person, sure. But, like, awful people are everywhere. But then she gets a superpower, and then she becomes really awful. And I don't like evil for evil's sake, right? Like, I can be like, oh, I'm evil, and just be a bad guy. I just feel like there should have been more of a device, right? Like, especially considering this is around the time where, like, Thanos is starting to get big, and we're like, oh, we're going to see some really cool villains, and we do see some really cool villains within 2016 to 2018. The issue that I have is that we also see really bad villains, like this person, who, quite frankly, is no match for Peggy. Peggy can just shoot her, and it'll be done. I just don't... Make better villains. That's the one thing that Marvel doesn't do great at. They for a while they didn't have a good time making villains. Their villains are weak for the most part. However, they're starting to get better at it. Like, the Vulture was phenomenal in Homecoming. Mysterio was fun. Thanos, of course, was fantastic. We're hopefully going to see Galactus in Phase 4 Marvel. I know we're going to see Kang the Conqueror because it's cast. So we're going to see that, I think, in Ant-Man 3, I think it was. So I'm really excited to see that, and I think they're going to do a good job with it, but I'm a little scared, to be honest with you. Anyway, Reggie Austin as Jason Wilkes. Jason Wilkes was a really good character, in my opinion. I really enjoyed watching him on screen. His relationship with Peggy was the one that I was kind of like, you know what? This could work. We could go with this one. If we do that, we kind of stray away from Sousa, we forget that Captain America exists, I can see them getting together, that's okay. Then they don't get together, and I get, like, what the hell is the point then? Fuck. Pardon my language. God. Okay. He was good. He was great. I just don't like the writing of this. I think the main issue with this is the writing. The writing is sloppy, lazy, and it plays with my emotions too much in a way that isn't okay, right? Because, like, I'm okay with a show that's going to play with my emotions, but this one just feels like they're just going back and forth between love, hate, love, fuck. Like, it makes you so confused. Why do they have to do that? But he was great. I love watching him on screen. That's the main thing, is, like, the show itself isn't bad. The writing is just really bad, and it hinders it for me. Dominic Cooper is Howard Stark. He wasn't in too many episodes in the season, but I wanted to mention him because I love him and he's great, and I love watching him as Howard Stark. He's great. I would love to see a Tony Stark, Howard Stark kind of thing, like a young thing, but of course that wouldn't be Dominic Cooper. That'd be that other older guy that plays older Howard Stark. So it's kind of upsetting that we'll never get to see them both on the same screen, probably. But if we did, that'd be really fantastic. Well, I think that pretty much gave you my views. Again, I'm not going to rate it super low because I enjoyed some of the performances. I enjoyed watching Haley Atwell. I love James D'Arcy. I love Reggie Austin and Dominic Cooper. I just didn't like the writing. So if you are okay with a show that doesn't have the best writing and takes a lot of time to get some plot movement, this is the show for you. And I'm going to give this a B-. Couple quick announcements before I wrap it up. New Year's coming up soon. That's going to be really exciting. I'm really excited. We have a Marvel today. Tomorrow we have a Steve Carell. Then we have a Request. And then we're ending the year off with Titanic, with a Leonardo DiCaprio film, which is going to suck because it's 3.5 hours long. I don't know how I'm going to sit through that. That might be something I take 2 days on. But I've actually never watched Titanic all the way through. I've watched bits and pieces of it, of course, and I've watched how it was made and stuff, but I've never actually sat down and watched it. My goal is to watch it all the way through in one sitting, as it was meant to be. However, I don't have much time on my hands, especially now that I'm back to work. So we're going to hope for the best and see how it goes. If you live in New York, I hope you're doing okay with the snow, although I guess the snow will probably be gone by now. Right now, I'm filming this in the middle of the giant blizzard that hit At this point, it would be like a couple weeks ago, about a week and a half ago. It's bad here, so we just got our driveway uncovered, so we'll see how that goes. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I think that's it for me today. That's all I have for you. Tune in tomorrow for Hope Springs. I just finished watching Hope Springs. I'm going to film it right now, and I love the movie, so just a little heads up that it's going to be a really fun review. I'm really excited to talk about it with you guys. So, as always, keep watching movies, television, stay educated, and I'll see you guys in the next video.